Hello, my name is Famudi Anolato Valentina, and we are members of Group G of Business Administration, and we are here to discuss on the topic barriers to business communication and definition of verbal communication. I hope this video will shed more light on the barriers of business communication and the definition of verbal communication.
Before we discuss the barriers of communication, let's define what verbal communication is first. So verbal communication is use of spoken words to convey a message between two or more people. It actually involves the exchange of information, ideas, thoughts, and opinions through oral communication. Now, there are different types of oral communication. We have conversation, we have telephone calls, we have interviews, we have meetings, we have video conferences. Verbal communications can be effective in conveying thoughts and emotions, clarifying misunderstandings, and building relationships between individuals or groups.
In business communication, barriers are obstacles that prevent effective communication from taking place. They can also be described as obstructions, those problems and hurdles in effective system of communication. And some of these barriers include noise as a barrier, perceptual and language differences, information overload, inattention, time pressures, emotions, complexity in organizational structure, and poor retention.
So let's discuss one of the most obvious barriers to communication, and that is noise. Noise is an unpleasant element in communication. Noise can be defined as any interruption to the flow of communication. So it can be a moving truck, it can be our emotional reactions towards like semantic noise and so on. Noise is the disruption or hindrance in communication process anywhere along the way as shown in the figure. It can occur at any point in the communication process. This means that noise can occur right before the sender sends the message or before the receiver receives the message. For instance, when a person wants to send a message and another person jumps in and just says something, that is a noise. Or right before the receiver wants to receive the message, or an emotional reaction towards all these are noise.
We're talking about perceptual and language differences. Perception in general is how each individual interprets the world around him. People only want to receive messages which are significant to them, but any message which is against their value are not accepted. Also, the linguistic difference leads to communication breakdown. Same word may mean different to different individuals. For example, I can't help myself can mean I can't help myself do certain activities, but to other people it may mean there is an attitude that I can't let go of. And also, when you use a word like I see, some people may see it as okay, you're saying something, but to other people it might mean I understand. Another example is a person is on leave for a month due to personal reasons, which is family member being critical. The HR manager may be in confusion whether to retain that employee or not. The immediate manager might think of substitute because his team's productivity is being hampered. The family member might take it as an emotional hold.
Let's look at information overload as a barrier to effective business communications. Managers are bothered with a pool of information. It means they are surrounded with information, so it becomes necessary for the managers to control the inflow of information, else information will be misinterpreted, information will be forgotten, and it will not be understood. Unchecked inflow of information becomes a barrier to effective business communication. It stifles the senior executives, it suffocates them, bores them, and frustrates them. As a consequence, communication is less effective. So when people are bogged down with a lot of information, the more likely they are to commit errors. They may also delay processing or responding to information or message, at least for some time, and delay may become an habit, causing serious communication problems. People may also become selective in their response, and selectivity is not communication friendly. On the other hand, it is a communication problem.
I also talk about inattention as a barrier to effective communication. At times, we do not listen, we only hear. Listening is when you receive the sound waves and understand it by paying full attention to the words or sentences of the speaker. For example, a traveler may pay attention to one no parking sign, but if such sign is put all over the city, he no longer listens to it. Therefore, repetitive messages should be dismissed for effective communication. Inadequate attention to the message makes communication less effective and likely to be misunderstood. Inattention may arise because of overbusiness of the communicate or because the message is contrary to his beliefs and expectations.
I may talk about time pressure as a barrier to effective communication. Time pressure can be defined as the unfavorable ratio between the amount of time required to accomplish a task and the amount of time available. Frequently in an organization, targets have to be achieved within a specific time period, failure to which cause adverse consequences. In a haste to meet deadlines, the formal channels of communication are shortened or messages are partially given, that is, not completely channeled. So ample time should be given for effective communication. Pressure to meet deadlines could reduce communication, messages can be partially given, and key information can be relayed. Loss of interest, not including the audience, could cause loss of interest. Boring issues and incorrect terminology could also cause loss of interest.
I'll be taking emotions and now it serve as a barrier to communication. Let's say your emotional state at a particular period of time, it affects communication. Let's say a receiver, it perceives that the communicator is being angry. It may conclude that the information sent at that particular period of time is bad. Also, emotional barriers, it can serve as a mental blocks to how you freely pass your message. In conclusion, emotional barrier, it affects how you perceive people's behavior and ultimately how you take the decisions.
I'll be talking about complexity in organizational structure as a barrier to effective communication. Complexity in organizational structure is a state in which the organizational apparatus is intricate and complicated, thereby making the flow of communication difficult. Greater the power structure in an organization, more are the chances of communication getting lost. That is, more the magnanimous number of managerial levels, the higher chances of communication getting lost. Only the people at the top level can see the overall picture, while the people at low level just have knowledge about their own area and a little knowledge about other areas. With more levels, the communication gets delayed and might change before reaching the intended receiver.
Let's look at poor retention as a barrier to effective business communication. Human memory cannot function outside the limits. One can't always remember what one is being told, especially if the person is not listening or not attentive. Poor retention is a significant barrier to business communication when the employee or team members cannot retain important information that has been shared with them. This can be particularly problematic in a team setting when a lot of people have to be on the same page in order to achieve a common goal. If one team member constantly forgets important information, it can derail the entire team progress and make it difficult to meet deadlines. In the communication process, poor retention is also a major stumbling block. People cannot retain knowledge for lengthy periods of time if they are not attentive or engaged. To address this barrier, businesses may use different strategies to improve retention, such as providing precise and clear instructions and providing opportunities for feedback and reviews.